What's up, gaming heroes, and welcome back to another awesome Gaming Hero podcast. In this episode, I have the awesome, the wonderful Zanzarful. Say hello, bro, and introduce yourself and tell us what you do on YouTube and Twitch and stuff.
Well, what's up, everyone? Again, I'm Zanzarful. Recently, I've been trying to branch out to just more than gold making in World of Warcraft, but the prime reason for me still playing the game after all these years is definitely swimming in piles of gold. So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun, man.
Thank you so much for joining the podcast. I really appreciate it. I mentioned a few people over, whilst I got banned in World of Warcraft, I reached out to for advice. You were one of them, as you have previously dealt with some of these kind of annoying issues yourself.
Yeah.
And you gave me a little bit of motivation, a little bit of advice to keep fighting and kind of not give up. And I really appreciate that. So thank you for that, bro.
Hey, you're welcome. It's yeah, it was interesting when that happened to me because I was live on stream, out of nowhere it starts lagging. I was like, nah, I'm just getting disconnected. It's no big deal. And it's just like, oh. And then I look over at my email and I see 4 different emails for account suspended. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh no,
That was a time.
No. One of those.
That was a time.
Yeah.
Man.
And the worst bit is, like, they just don't respond like with a real person. It's just fake person, like AI.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens when they outsource a lot of their customer support, unfortunately. But you can get lucky and talk to actual people, even if you're not writing it or portraying yourself in a good light or whatever. But
yeah, it's
not great.
You know what, dude? When I reached out to you about my situation, I had just had 6 replies from like automatic responses, and you were like, just write them a really polite message, just say. What was it? You said, write a really polite message and just say, can you get someone who, like, a real person to re-review this? And it worked. It actually worked, you know?
Yeah. But that's because they have, like, I think it's maybe some policies or templates that they have just to make sure that if somebody that actually broke a bunch of their rules or did something they weren't supposed to, they just kind of, get them out of the way. They can't get their account back quickly, so we don't care about that. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's why they do it. But at the same time, it's not great because it's not a lot of misfires, at least from my knowledge, but it's still unfortunate when it does happen.
It's funny you say that because I used to think that as well. And then I released a few banned videos. Yeah. And I realized, holy heck, the amount of people that get banned in World of Warcraft is a lot more than I thought it was. Like,
it's a lot.
My gosh.
It's a lot. But I think it's also because, I mean, Blizzard they have to be kind of vague with what they want to ban people for. Because if, the easier they make it for people to understand what you kind of can't do in the game, people are just going to find workarounds immediately and try to, evade all the bans possible. So it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. That's what gamers do, though, isn't it? We always look for the shortest way of getting things, and
yeah,
if they're too clear cut, we're like, oh, that's how it is. Oh, I got a better way than that. Yeah, totally.
A lot of people just don't understand what you can and can't do either. I mean, I don't expect people to sit there and read through terms of service either.
Yeah.
So if they're like, I don't know why I got banned, but I was doing this thing and I had an auto clicker on, I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so do you still do like multi-boxing, but ethical multi-boxing? You have...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to do everything manually these days, especially if you want to avoid getting banned, because it's not fun dealing with that. But if you do everything manually now, and that's you tab between each window and you click on every single one. Obviously, it's a lot easier if you have multiple monitors or whatever. But I still do it because it's just too good. It's too good not to do it, because if I'm sitting on one account, I'm like, if I open up 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 extra accounts, I can, exponentially increase the amount of gold that I can make. And it's also a lot faster to get through testing with that. So
you know what? I was going to ask you if you could explain what like multi-boxing is, but like that was a really good explanation already. Our member questions. So for anyone that doesn't know, this podcast is sponsored by Gaming Hero.io, and anyone who's a member of that site can ask streamers in advance any questions that they want answered. We've got 2 questions, which is the most so far we've had for a streamer, and they are both multi-box questions, Sansa. So I hope that's okay with you, bro. So the first one is from Bravan, and he has said, I have a question for Zanzarful. Ask him if it's worth having 5 accounts for multi-boxing, and what farms does he prefer when multi-boxing transmogs or materials? Any specifics?
I'd say that, I mean, having 5 accounts is kind of like the golden part, or the golden goose, or what you want to say, for multi-boxing, because it puts together like a full 5-man group. So if you do dungeon farming or anything along those lines, or if you do open world farms with 5 people, that's kind of where you can be. But at the same time, I think something that a lot of people tend to forget with multi-boxing is you can't always justify spending as much as you are on new accounts, because the way that I was justifying it back when I first got my accounts was, okay, well, if I get another account, I can set up 50 additional mission tables, and eventually after a month, that's going to pay for itself. So I set up the account because it was going to pay for itself. So when it comes to multi-boxing, to think whether or not, you decide for yourself it's worth it, is having, even if it's just 1 account, right? You're doing one account, and then you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I can do 2 accounts. Maybe I can justify that. Before actually just going ahead and getting one, think about whether or not you can make, first, enough gold to justify that second account, or if that second account can make enough to sustain itself. And it's certainly changed a lot with multi-boxing farms these days, because a lot of the areas that you can kind of do multi-boxing farms, there's a lot of bots there, and I personally don't like putting myself in those areas, because if people pass by or whatever, then you'll just get reported because people think you're cheating or breaking the game or whatever it is. And that's the case for anywhere in the game. So most of the stuff that I do these days will be related to crafting professions, right? Especially in early Dragonflight, I did unraveling a lot in tailoring. So I would just, on 4 different accounts on my screen, sit and do unraveling for hours on end.
Oh, yeah.
Just shifting through materials.
And even if it's like 5,000 gold an hour, that's 25,000 gold an hour. Like,
yeah,
if you're doing 5 accounts.
I mean, yeah. Early on, it was outrageous amounts. I mean, I was making hundreds of thousands of gold an hour doing that.
Yeah, I was thinking about like now, like not back then. I bet it was crazy back then.
But right now, no. I mean, well, I did use it a little bit for the mop remix, for bronze farming, but it kind of has its peaks. I mostly only do multi-box farming when there's new content that comes out, then for the first like month or 2, and otherwise I've used it for Naxxramas, right? I'd say that's probably my favorite farm for multi-boxing would be Naxxramas, Secrets of Naxxramas, whatever you want to call it, because you can technically bring 25 characters in there. And I have one friend right now that just finished his leveling challenge of 1,440 characters. So 1,440 characters on 24 accounts. And he's running that 24 accounts. He's running through Naxxramas every week currently.
That's insane.
It's pretty disgusting, yeah.
Goodness me.
It's crazy. And I mean, the amount of gold that he's making justifies it, because I mean, it easily pays for itself. But at the same time, it's also like he spent a lot of months on doing that. He spent
I
a
have
long
the
time.
worst way of justifying having a second account, like the worst. I'm just like, dude, it's tax deductible. That's literally. Like,
that's a good reason too.
Tax deductible, like. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good reason too. That's a little more niche, but it works.
All you gotta do is become a YouTuber, and then you can have a second account for free.
Yeah, make enough money so you can justify.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I mean that is a lot of people in my community as well. They just do it because they're lazy, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh well, I can have a second account, so instead of always having to walk back, if they don't have the Lone Boy, right? If they didn't play in BFA, I always have an account active on the auction house, right? And then I can play on my other one. Just simple, small things that makes the game easier for gold makers. I mean, even if you don't necessarily make a lot of gold, it's still worth it.
Totally agree. Massively agree with that. So, would you say you spend more time doing transmog than material farming with your multi-box accounts?
Recently, for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, when it comes to material farms, they get boring to me really quickly because I know what I get immediately, and like there's nothing to it. It's just like, oh well, I go here, I get 50,000 gold, and then that's it. It's a little more fun if I walk into a dungeon where I know if I get really lucky, I can push the numbers up really high. That's just more fun, especially if you do it a lot.
Yeah, massively agree with that. We have another member question from a Talon Breck, and he says, I think the key for me is what program he uses that Blizzard allows. I know that technically anything could be considered against TOS because, well, lawyer talk, but what programs do multi-box communities use these days to have confidence without fear of TOS issues?
Well, it doesn't exist.
Okay.
It doesn't exist. Like, there's no software that you can be 100% certain that this is fine, because the way that they worded the TOS is anything that streamlines multi-boxing can be against the TOS if they deem it so.
Yeah.
So that could be as simple as a window resizer or something like that you use to just angle up your different, accounts on your monitor. Could be against the TOS, right?
It sucks.
There's no. I would recommend just don't use anything. And if you feel like it's too much or you use too much energy on it, don't do it. Because like you risk your accounts, and I don't think it's worth it, right?
Yeah, I'd hugely agree with that. Like I use I have a Corsair mouse which has like the 12 buttons, and it has like button remapping software built in. But even that makes me nervous to use in case I potentially get banned from just having a mouse, which is ridiculous, obviously. But
that's what a lot of people are like, well, I have this keyboard here and I can do multiple things with it, or I have this foot pedal and I can make that click on this other window while I'm not, if you want to be 100% safe, don't use anything.
Yeah. For me, when I'm using that remapping software, I do it all just pure keybinds, nothing that does anything outside of what I'm doing currently, just because I refuse to risk it. It's not worth the risk at all.
Nope.
So one of my favorite questions to ask all guests that come on this podcast so far is, do you know the movies Jumanji?
Yeah, I know them, yeah.
Yeah, so like being thrown into a game type thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to Jumanji you for a second, and we're going to throw you into World of Warcraft for the rest of your life, right? And we want to know what class, what race, where you plan to live for the rest of your days, what professions you're going to have, and potentially what's your name, of course, as well.
Well, I mean, for me, it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I really like Zanzarful Links, if it wasn't obvious, from Zanzarful being the name.
Yeah.
So I would probably be a Zanzarful troll. I'd probably be named Zanzarful or Zan. And I would have, I'd say mining and herbalism, and just live in Soldasar, walking up and down the pyramids and flying around in the trees.
Oh, I love that. What class would you be?
It sounds good to me.
Like
some tropical jungle situation. Yeah, probably a druid, yeah.
Yeah. A druid living in Zanzarful, dude, what's your main professions?
Well, if it wasn't going to be mining and herbalism, I would pick probably tailoring and enchanting.
Nice.
Probably.
So you would do that, like, obviously you're living in the game, you'd be like knitting away, sewing away each day, yeah. And I love it. I love that. That's so cool.
That would be fun.
That's badass, dude. That's like a really unique answer. Every answer I've had so far has been kind of like chill, but yours has gone all the way in. Love it.
I really love the RP aspects of WoW, for sure.
You're a troll at heart, my friend.
Yeah. That's been the case for over a decade.
So what inspired you to get started in World of Warcraft gold making creation, like content creation?
Well, I mean, that was all the way back before I got started. I actually was helping another community, which was a guy called Skits, or It's Skits at the time. And he was making his own gold making videos for World of Warcraft then. And I started watching them back in Legion. And even before then, I was super into it for gold making, but not for a content creation perspective. But I don't know what it was, but just being able to like help edit videos and come up with ideas and all this stuff. And he kind of got bored of the game and went to other games. I was like, I could do it myself. So I started doing it myself because I was like, oh, well, I was already doing it for this guy, and I have all these things that I really like talking about with people. So I'm just going to start making videos as well. And it was next to streaming, of course, right? So it was kind of out of the blue, but at the same time, it also makes sense because I love talking about gold with everyone that I could at the time. I still do, but at the time it was like, you know, anyone, even my friends in the game that hated making gold, I was like, guys, if you don't go and do this for at least half an hour a day, you're going to be losing out on so much gold.
Yeah.
That's it. So I just started making videos because of that.
Did you have anyone in Shadowlands who insisted that the mission tables were trash at first?
Oh yeah, everyone. And then
that's
like, the main reason.
You made loads of gold, and then you were like, yeah, you can make millions of gold from this.
I sat at the mission table for the first couple of weeks. I was like, there's gold here, there's augment runes, there's gear. There's no way this mission table isn't good.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't believe me. They're like, no, it's terrible. I don't like it. I can't figure it out. Because early on, it was really hard to figure out. Like, with all the different followers that you had and the small minigames.
Yeah.
But then the add-ons came and you were like, okay, well, I can go in and send all my missions out in 30 seconds and that's it, right?
Yeah. And I suppose like okay, when you started as well, like the rewards aren't as good. But like as you level up the table, it gets better, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was in Shadowlands, they limited it to the like weekly renown quests or whatever they were doing for the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So the progression early on was really slow, but that as it kind of sped up a little bit, it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to test this out. And the reason why I decided to do it was, one, because people were like, this is terrible, there's nothing you could do. So I wanted to test if that was actually the case. But the other reason was also because everything else, gold making related, in Shadowlands was way too easy. And it was super boring for me. It was good, right? You could make a lot of gold,
skinning,
but
dude. Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Anybody with 2 eyeballs could make gold and make legendaries and sell them on the auction house. There was nothing to it. So I just got super bored. I was like, okay, well, instead, I'm going to level 1,000,000 characters and do this mission table over and over and over again until I figure out how good it is.
Yeah.
And then
it just became amazing. Like I remember I was pumping out content like every day about the mission table. Like I had like my whole team behind me were like trying to figure out ways we could speed run the mission table to make it like more efficient, faster. Like we knew there was gold there, and I kept having guildies that were like, dude, the mission table's trash. I don't know why you bother with it. I was like, man, surely not. But yeah, we were both like on top of that one, man. I remember back then.
Yeah. I mean, I had towards the end, I think the last video I made on Shadowlands mission tables, I had like 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
Characters doing a mission table every day. It was getting a little crazy. It's getting a little nuts. It was good.
My missus is just teasing me, sorry.
That's fair.
Thank you. There you go. Sorry about that. So what would you say the breakdown of your goal making is with like versus multi-boxing or singular character farming, that type of stuff? Like, do you do any single character farming now, or is it pure multi-boxing pretty much 90% of the time?
I mostly just do what I enjoy. So if it's single character farming, that's fine. I mean, if whatever farm is, if it's fun, or if I feel like this would be interesting to test out, maybe make some content around it, or if it's a community thing, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. It doesn't really matter to me because I'm at a point now where if I decided that I didn't want to make any more gold, I'd be fine. I could still play WoW for the rest of my life and not have to pay for it. So,
best feeling ever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember I had a friend who did unethical multi-boxing back in the day.
Sure.
And he had something like 109 years of game time.
Yeah.
Because he just transferred all his gold into game time like the second he got it, and he showed me like a screenshot of his like his time, and I was just like, what is this unholy man? Like, this account's gonna be lasting like into your great grandchildren's lives. Like,
well, I just, for me, I never like, I'll just buy like 10 years of game time or whatever. I didn't do that. I just always have like a couple of months forward, even though I know I'm going to be playing. I just have a couple of months forward because I don't know. I don't really see much of a reason to just buy, I don't know, 10 years or whatever it is. Because I mean, you could.
Your videos on twinking inspired the GameHero.io twink guides. They basically, I had 3 writers who are part of the site, and I basically said, hey, look at these guides here, dude. They are incredible. We should like actually experiment and learn this ourselves. And they encouraged us to actually create like a whole twinking and look into how twinking works. So you've shared some incredible information on twinking. I'd love to ask you just a little bit of questions about that and stuff like that.
Okay. Sure.
So what got you into twinking originally? And what do you most enjoy about playing twinks?
Well, the funny thing is, that was the mission tables in Shadowlands. Because I was like, how do I level in the fastest way possible and make it slightly more interesting for myself? Because when I started out, I was like, okay, just one character, level it up from the ground up all the way to the max level. And I was like, doing quests over and over and over again. I'm like, I've already gotten lore master twice in my life. I'm good. What can I do here? Is there any options? And I was like searching, and throughout my leveling experiences, a couple of dungeons, I was like, okay, well, what are these level 10s? Why are they smacking everything in this dungeon and just soloing the whole thing without me ever helping them? So I was like, okay, I want to do that. So I went on a scouring mission for information. And at the time, nobody had any content on it. So I was like, Reddit, forums, all this stuff. And I found a couple of websites where people had, very bare bones ideas for how to put it together. So I just started, I made, at the time, I made a monk, level 10 monk, and I started trying to max gear it out as much as I possibly could. And it turned out to be pretty good, and I got it to a point that wasn't fully optimized or fully maximized, but it got to a point where it was good enough for where I could solo the dungeons in a reasonable time frame. And I was like, you know what? This is fun, and I can boost myself.
Yeah.
Which also led to me getting banned early on, which was...
Me too.
fun, which then, because that was at the time where I had, 2 or 3 accounts, I think it was. And I had to dungeon with other people because you had to do it for the LFG and all this stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'll just get 4 extra accounts. So then I can just boost 4 of my own accounts, and I don't have to talk or interact with any other people ever again.
Or risk it, because like that's what I actually like. This is advice in the Gaming Hero guides: is don't group up with people. There's better ways to level your characters.
Yeah.
Either use 4 other accounts, like a total of 5 accounts, to do your own dungeons, or do the other way using island expeditions. You know. So you don't have to interact with people who report you, basically, because it's too risky. Far too risky.
It's too even if you're not breaking any rules. And I understand it too, right? If somebody is brand new to the game, or they've played maybe for a year or two, and they see you level 10 while they're level 57 or whatever, and this level 10 is doing 200% more than everyone else, just smashing through the entire thing. I mean, I'd probably be like, they're cheating.
Exactly.
They're cheating. Or there's also a lot of people that just don't agree with the play style, so they'll just report it because they don't like it.
Yep.
Which is,
or they're jealous. There's a jealousy as well. There's a little bit of jealousy. Like if they're trying to do well on the damage meter, and they're going up against a twink, they're never going to compete right at all.
That could be it too.
Yeah, and that pisses off some people. That's what I've experienced anyway. Or like when they die and you don't wait for them, like they get so mad at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, pulling bosses before they load into the dungeon or something. I mean, it could be a lot of stuff.
I think is it Slave Pens where you've got the Hydra in the water and there's the fish that one-shot you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that killed a few people in my groups, and they got so pissed off. I was like, I literally said don't go in the water. Like,
I would usually just fly over the platform, not even kill it, and people would get upset that I left them behind. I mean, and you know, it's like I understand it to some extent, but it's also kind of annoying when you've been playing the game for a long time.
Yeah, dude, I was 11 when I started. I'm 31 now. Like, getting banned from the game was just like, what do I do in my life now? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I started when I was 9, so it was ages ago,
dude.
Too. Yeah.
You must be like, you're 27, 28 now? Is that right?
I'm 26, yeah.
26. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
So,
what expansion did you join the game?
It was at the end of the Burning Crusade. So back in, I got WoW for Christmas by my parents, and that was in I believe it was 2007, because it couldn't have been 2008, because by the time Christmas comes around that year, Wrath was already out, and I remember playing TBC. So, but most of my memories are not from TBC. They're mostly from Wrath, like early days of WoW. Because with TBC, I didn't know what was going on. I was just randomly running around, killing stuff, picking up quests. And that was a time where I was still like somewhat learning English at the time.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I don't really know what any of this says. I'm like, I'll just walk over here.
And you're Danish, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I went to Aalborg in Denmark not too long ago, like maybe a year or two ago, and I was shocked by the level of English that you guys speak over there. Oh my goodness. You guys speak better English than most English people I know. Like, which is ridiculous.
I think it also comes down to the way that we learn it, because there's a lot of energy put into the grammatical way and speaking right, I guess, because it kind of depends where and who and how people learn it. Because it's definitely changed, because when I first started, I think we got in like 3rd grade or something, 2nd grade maybe, we started having English, and it's just, you just have it. You just need to learn it, because, Denmark's pretty small, and if you want to communicate with anyone in Europe, unless you want to learn their language, you just kind of have to know English.
And our cultures go back really far as well, you know?
Yeah.
So it just kind of it makes a lot of sense, really.
But there's also a lot of international people in Denmark, so it makes sense to know English at a good level.
Got you. Yeah, that makes sense. So for twinking, what would you say your biggest success you've ever had has been? Talk us through that.
Like in terms of in the game?
Yeah, so like For myself, I've leveled not nearly as many characters as you. I've done like 30 characters to level 70 with twinking.
Oh yeah,
but
mean,
like for you've got some huge success stories in like twinking specifically.
Well, my accounts were filled out until they increased it again for Mop Remix, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't even know. I set up 250 characters to run Naxxramas. So I was doing 50 runs of Naxxramas on 5 accounts every week for a while.
Oh.
And I mean, that was definitely worth it. But it was also at the time I got there and I was like, okay, so what now?
Yeah.
I was like, I know what I can kind of expect. Because when you get to those numbers, even though Naxxramas is like an RNG farm in a way, because it's transmog and whatnot, when you get to the numbers of having that many characters run through it, you can kind of expect what you're getting.
Yeah.
Because you just get so many tries, it's not that fun anymore.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
But I mean, I never expected to get. I thought I would get bored or quit way earlier. I mean, it was many stages because like back when I first started twinking, I was like, I just want like 50 characters. And then I was like, okay, well now I'm at 50. I could do 100. And then I got to 100. I was like, I could do 200.
Yeah. Damn straight you could.
And then they increased like how many characters that you can have on your account. I was like, I could do 250.
Yeah.
But I could do 300.
Yeah.
And then
going.
I was like, and then the next thing that I thought about was like, okay, well now I'm at the point where if this is going to be worth it and I want 4 accounts boosted at all times, I have to get a second BattleNet. Because you can only have 8 accounts on your main BattleNet. And I also have a US one, so it was kind of...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Kind of put a little wrench in that, but...
Yeah.
I sat there and I was really thinking to myself, do I want to do this? Or is this just another dumb idea? So I haven't really... I haven't gone further into that because I was thinking about the War Within at the time. And I have... somewhere between 70 and 80 level 70s now. And I was like, in the first couple of months of the War Within, there is simply no way that I'll be able to use that many ults. There's no way. There's no way. Because the profession system that we had in Dragonflight, we're also going to have again in the War Within. There is no way I'll be able to use that many characters. I'm not going to have time for it. Yeah. There's not enough time in the day.
I just look forward to whatever daily craft we get. Like, whatever daily craft we get, I'm just going to hammer on that.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, dude. What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to from War Within?
I hope Delves are going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for Delves, honestly. And not only
can you explain Delves to the audience, just because there's going to be people who don't know.
It's like a combination of scenarios that we had in Mr. Pandaria, where we currently have in Mop Remix, and Torghast from Shadowlands. It's like small dungeon, kind of. It's kind of a dungeon.
Yeah.
But it's just in a different aspect where there's some treasure, you go for a little storyline, you complete some objectives, you have this little fun NPC that runs along with you. And they also added, actually, ores and herbs in there, and you get gold rewards. So my brain was like,
dude.
Well, they haven't finalized all the numbers for that yet, but you can permanently farm delves. They are going to limit it in like a daily or weekly fashion as for how good the rewards are for, top end, high end PvE and everything like that. But
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. And I like the fact that you can do it solo, or you can group up with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people if you want.
Yeah,
I like that.
What feature would you want in the game? Like, if you were suddenly in charge of, like, I don't know, the direction of World of Warcraft for just a couple months maybe, what would you specifically say you want in World of Warcraft?
I really like player housing as an idea, and it's something that a lot of people have been asking for a really long time.
Yep.
I like it a lot because of all the aspects that it can create for professions. That's why I really like it, because you could open up so many great ideas if you decided to do player housing, but it's certainly an undertaking. I don't really know how they would do it in WoW, because they kind of did it with garrisons and WoD.
Yeah, kind of.
And that was I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but that'd be fun to have player housing in WoW.
Yeah, I think that for me, like if I was in that situation, I'd probably start with adding 2 new professions in. So like a gathering profession, which is woodworking or like
Yeah,
wood cutting, and then I'd
that
have
makes
a
sense.
crafting profession for basically architecture slash wood
Like
carpentry. Yeah,
carpentry. Yeah,
carpentry. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, the word escaped me. Carpentry, and then I would have player housing because like those 3 together. There you go.
It'd be great.
Perfect,
It
don't
would
they?
be really awesome.
Yeah, you could even have
I
like
mean,
stonemason as well. Can you imagine like a
yeah,
stonemason?
yeah.
That would be cool.
Like furniture building,
Yeah,
whatever it
you
is.
could specialize in a form of mining where you collect the stone specifically, rather than
There's a lot of
ore.
great
Yeah.
potential. The other thing would be sell orders.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because as much as Blizzard, I don't know why, but they do not want to change their mind on work orders.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but having it be so crafters could make orders that people can say, "Oh, well, I need that." That'd be good. I think that'd be good. I'd like
Yeah.
it.
They had kind of like that in New World. It was really
Yeah.
good. If you wanted
Oh, yeah,
anything from the professions, you could say, "I want that. I'll pay 500 gold," and then someone would just do it, and you give them 500 gold. Like it was that simple. It was
Yeah.
kind of like awesome in that regard.
I think sell orders would be very good for the War Within, but we're not getting it.
Oh,
We're
let
not
me
getting it.
ask you another good question. Like this one's a tough one though. If you were in charge of World of Warcraft for a little while, what's one thing you'd remove from the game?
One thing I would remove from the game.
Yeah, it's a hard one, I know, because like it's so easy to come up with things you want to add to the game, but hard to come up with things you want to remove from the game.
I really don't know. There's not really a lot of things that I'm like, I don't want this. It's like if I don't like it, it's like okay, I'm just not gonna do it. But it's a
Yeah.
part of the world still that makes it interesting for a lot of people. But I don't even know.
Yeah. For me, I think I'd probably maybe remove personal loot from raids and make it more about the
Uh,
guild
sure,
loot
yeah,
system type thing. There's so many like different like niche things in World of Warcraft that you could potentially remove or not, or keep them or improve them. But it's kind of hard. It's a hard
yeah.
question.
But that's also like that's more of a that's more of a like a change or an improvement to a system. I don't
Yeah,
really
that's
count
true.
that in the same way as removing something, because that's like a full-on delete, goodbye. Because like early on in Dragonfly, I was like, you know what, the work order system absolutely fucking sucks, so just get rid of it. Just
Yeah.
you know, I nobody likes it. Some people did because it made a lot of gold, but nobody likes it. I don't want it. Just get rid of it. But at the same time, it could be really great.
Yeah.
Could be.
You know
But
what,
it's
dudes?
just still
I
not there
changed my
yet.
mind. I'm removing Sylvanas. Sylvanas, get rid of her. Like,
In her current state, with the
yeah,
writing that she received in the last couple of expansions,
yeah,
I mean, she's already kind of removed, indefinitely.
yeah.
You know, stuck in
Just-
the maw, rescuing souls or whatever.
yeet her, dude. Just kick her off the maw into the pit of souls.
I don't
bye.
know if we'll ever get her back. I kind of feel like Salataf is the new and improved version of what Sylvanas was supposed to be in terms of a story beat or an
Yeah.
element.
I'm just so sick of like characters that do some type of awful, terrible thing, and then we spend the entire expansion defeating them, and then at the end they're like, "Oh yeah, I was a real piece of shit. I'm sorry for this. Please forgive me." And then we're like, "Oh yeah, we'll forgive you." Like,
it's
dude,
been a little questionable. We'll see where the World Soul
just
saga
let us kill
takes
him.
us.
Like, just we're heroes. We want to kill the bad guys. Just let us do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I'd like to forget all of Shadowlands. Just delete it from my memory.
Yeah, totally. Apart from the mission tables, keep those. I loved that. I do miss the mission tables. Do you miss them?
No,
not at all.
Not at all. No.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing, right? While they are a very good casual friendly way of providing like a little routine thing in the game, I think it's a very, in the words of Ian, degenerate way to play the game, because it kind of pushes a perspective on the game of you only interact with the environment, and that's kind of not it for me when it's a MMO. I don't like if all I'm doing is interacting with computers and PvE and all that stuff all day. It doesn't feel like an MMO. It's just like, this is a single player game. So on that aspect of it, I did not like mission tables, which is also like the major reason why they decided to remove them, next to the fact that it was causing an outrageous amount of inflation. But that's,
neither here nor there.
That's secondary.
No, totally agree. So I've popped by your streams quite a few times. I like watching you. You're one of the streamers I watch if you're online. I really enjoy how interactive you are with your audience. That's one thing that I think really strikes you as a good streamer. And for anyone that doesn't follow Zanzarful already, please check out the description. His stream, his YouTube, and what have you. It's all going to be in the description for him right here.
It's all Zanzarful, so it's pretty easy.
Exactly. Make sure you follow him. And one thing, as I said, that I like about your streams is how good you are at interacting, creating memorable moments. Do you have any like specific moments off the top of your head where you've just thought, wow, that was an awesome moment on my stream? Do you have anything like that?
Well, this was a couple of years ago now, but the top moment on my stream is still when I was doing my Mana Tombs challenge, which was ridiculous. And it was so stupid because it was a challenge that one of my IRL friends, I was just farming Mana Tombs because I liked the dungeon. It was good for gold making at the time before they nerfed the raw gold and all that. But I was farming for the world drop like recipes, the epic recipes that you can get in the Burning Crusade. And there was one that I was looking for because it didn't say that it could drop on Wowhead. It didn't say that it could drop in a dungeon. I was like, well, if it's a world drop recipe, it should drop in this dungeon. And considering I like this, I'm going to continue running in here until I get it. And in the time of doing that, I had one of my friends, he came in and he farmed a dungeon with me. And I had already done hundreds of runs at the time, never gotten it. He comes in, 15 minutes, like 3 runs, and gets it. And I was like,
is it the Felsteel Longblade?
It is.
Oh,
it is the Felsteel Longblade.
I knew it, dude.
So here's the thing. I told him that since you did that just now, I will farm this dungeon non-stop until I get the Felsteel Longblade. And that took me months. I have like a compilation video, and it took 4,873 runs in Mana Tombs before I got the Felsteel Longblade from there.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was great though when I finally did get it. And it was on an insane RNG day because I also it was I don't know, 80 runs during that day, and I got 4 other recipes as well. It was absolutely insane. It was crazy.
That's insane, dude. Oh my gosh. I remember seeing the first Felsteel Longblade. It was just in a dungeon, a random dungeon for TBC. Someone got it, and I traded them, I didn't ask for it. I just put 100,000 gold in the trade thing, and then
Yeah.
I said I like the fell steel longblade. That's all I said. It was, and I
like
know
it.
like 100,000 gold is cheap for it. It's like should be like 500k, right? And they were like, "Oh, dude, yeah, you can have it." I was like, "Done. Take the 100k." I was like, "Sorted. Seal the deal, man." But yeah, I can't even imagine trying to farm that.
And the crazy thing was, because during that time, I mean, I didn't need to farm mana tombs. I wasn't doing it because it was the best gold farm out there. Absolutely not. I was just doing it because it was a stupid challenge that I made with one of my friends because he got it in 15 minutes. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was fun.
It's insane, isn't it?
It was fun.
It was a lot of great content of all time.
Of all time, I'm a big Bwonsamdi fan. Very big Bwonsamdi fan. So I'd say the other side from BFA is a big contender for favorite dungeon of all time. But man, that's so hard because I have nostalgia reasons for some, and then other ones that are just great dungeons. That's tough.
It is a tough question now. Put you on the spot.
The old version of Dead Mines with Mr. Smite screaming and yelling at you. You there, check out that noise. It
was so good, dude.
It never leaves my brain.
Just the journey, I think, from the start all the way through to the end. Yeah, so good.
The story around that whole place, it was at the time it was crazy good. I really liked it.
And if you read all the quests as like from Stormwind and everything like that, and you found out what all the nobles of Stormwind did to these like tradesmen to turn them into the Defiers, you're like, why am I killing these guys again? Like, what?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing that makes you think sometimes.
Makes you understand like morally grey.
Yeah,
is definitely, that's why it's grey. You know, it's not black and white with this type of stuff.
There's also some of the new dungeons in the World Within, just thematically, the way that they look. They might two of them might turn into my favorite dungeons for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. I try not to spoil it too much for myself, which is extremely hard for a content creator to do.
Yeah.
But
I have this magical tool in my brain where I go and test something and I stop paying attention, like fully. I just have something going on the side and I'm just kind of going. I'm not really acknowledging what's actually happening on the screen. I'm just kind of going. And that way, because I did that for Dragonflight 2, and then when the expansion actually launched, I was like, this is so cool, man. All these quests are amazing. This dungeon is fun. All this stuff. And I'm like, I'd already been through a lot of it. I mean, 10, 20, 30 times or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was still a new experience. I don't know why I can do that, but I'm pretty happy about that.
That's pretty cool that you have that switch in your brain, right?
I also usually, like, whenever quests pop up or audio cues or whatever they say, I just have everything turned off. So if something pops out, I don't read it. I don't listen to it. I just continue along to see if anything's broken or whatever.
Yeah.
That's usually the case.
I have an interesting one to ask you. What's the most unusual or unexpected way you have ever made gold in World of Warcraft?
Unusual way. I mean, one, I would say death rolling, because it's hilarious. There's some of the moments that I've had with my guild, just death rolling gold in raids. But
it is fun, isn't it? At raid time, death rolling is just a blast, dude.
I don't know. Sometimes when I've done, like, I've invested into certain markets where I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I need like 10 of them, so I might as well buy out the whole thing. Yeah. If there wasn't a lot on the auction house, I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and post these for 300 times the value or whatever. And then somebody goes in and buys a bunch of them, and I'm like, what? Why would you do this to yourself? And that happened a lot, actually, in BFA and in Shadowlands. It was hilarious.
Have you ever
Hilarious.
done the rogue pickpocket gold farm in Oldham? You know the one I
Yeah,
mean?
I've done
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of them. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know the random like material items you get from that farm, right?
Yeah.
There's like some really random items that really aren't used for a lot of stuff. Um, if you go on the auction house, they're on the auction house for like 10k, and I'm not sure why, but like they're just completely random. And I put a couple of those on the auction house at just like 26,000 gold, and it was way higher than like anything else. And
Yeah.
I sold them, and I looked it up on Wowhide. I was like, "What are these used for? They're not used for anything." I don't know why the person bought them. You can't equip them. Like they're just an item in the game.
It's very peculiar sometimes why people do what they do.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. Like sometimes I sell like whatever item it is. I'm like, why would anyone ever buy this for this amount? That reminds me actually.
Yeah.
Copper rods that you use in enchanting, right?
Yeah.
You use it to be able to enchant anything, especially in older forms of enchanting. But you can buy them from the enchanting trainers or vendors or whatever for like 1 silver. Super cheap. Super cheap. But a lot of people either don't realize that or are way too lazy. So sometimes I've bought, mining pickaxes, blacksmithing hammers, copper rods, and all that stuff, and just posted on the auction house for a couple of 100 gold or whatever.
Yeah.
And people buy them because either one, they're lazy or they don't know better, right? And now, many years later, after doing that for myself, like, if I was standing in I don't know how many zones away and my Hearthstone wasn't cooldown or whatever, and I really needed one of those things, I'd just open the auction house and buy it. Even if it was a couple 100 gold. It wouldn't matter. But I think that's like an outlier.
I remember before TSM was around, it was like, I think it was like Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
I used to watch my dad build copper rods, iron rods, like all the enchanting rods using blacksmithing, and just put them on the auction house manually. And he used to do it every day, dude. He used to like make so much gold of that. And that kind of got me into gold making. That exact same thing.
Yeah, the first thing I ever did for gold making was, it was like I could find it still. It was a random cave in Ice Crown where these big worms, and somebody just that randomly passed by me was like, you know what? If you go in this cave and you kill these over and over again, the trash that they drop is worth quite a lot of gold. So you could make a decent amount of gold at the time just killing these mobs over and over again and just vendoring all the materials.
Yeah.
And I just randomly found it with one of the quests, and I was like, this is great. I really like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't do much profession related stuff in Wrath, but that started definitely in Cataclysm.
That same thing happened to me in Zereth Mortis. You know the sword farm in Zereth Mortis, right?
Yeah, with the Varus guillotine or whatever.
Yeah, I used to just do. So I was on my in Shadowlands. I would be doing a lot of arena solo shuffles.
Yeah.
On my warrior tank, and I wasn't playing with anyone or anything. I'd just be chilling for hours and hours at a time because I just had so much fun with it. And I was just mindlessly killing it. And this farm didn't exist back then. It was just I was mindlessly killing the same mobs in a big circle because I thought, I'll just wait for a queue. And I got a guillotine, and I was like, how did I get this? I was just killing random mobs.
Out of nowhere.
And then I kind of found it. I was like, oh my gosh. I could next expansion, I'm going to come back here and farm it. And then I came back to farm it, and I saw it already became a farm that everyone knew. I was like, holy crap, dude. So many people that have farms prepared for the next expansion to come back and check. It's crazy.
People were doing that farm a lot back in when it was current content. Because I remember, I was doing gathering videos for herbalism and mining, because I was trying to figure out what the best way was to to get Progenitor Essentia.
Yeah.
Right, the legendary crafting material. And I was just flying around in circles for hours and hours and hours and hours and mining and herbing all these things to see how many I could get per hour was the best way, which one of these have the highest chance, all that stuff. And I passed by the multiple farming spots over and I was like, there's no world quest here. Why are these people continuously killing these mobs over and over? I don't understand. There's like a couple of quests that you have to do, but it'd be like the same people over and over again. And then people started, a couple of content creators made some videos on it. I was like, that makes sense.
I was such a simple sausage back then because I just enjoyed fighting elite mobs. I was just like, I'm a tank. I enjoy fighting elite mobs. It's actually enjoyable in between solo shuffles. I get to practice my tanking ability and pull tons of mobs. And they can't kill me. I was like, this is fun. And then it dropped. I was like, well, there's a token. Like, back then, of course. Yeah.
I mean, they're still worth a lot now.
They are.
Tons.
They really are, yeah.
So
I'd love to know a little bit more about yourself outside of World of Warcraft. What are some other interests or hobbies that you have that aren't World of Warcraft related?
Well, now that you say it, I think about World of Warcraft. I sleep on no. It's definitely a big part of my life with World of Warcraft. It's like one of the main hobbies.
Yep.
And I'd say if anything else, I mean, you can see some of it over here. I have some manga, some anime related stuff. I really like collecting manga, specifically Japanese, I guess, Japanese cartoons, you could call it, for people that don't know it. And if not that, it'd be, I guess, card collectibles like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering and things like that.
So
super into it.
What posters are those? Attack on Titan, One Punch Man.
Yeah, and then we have
Zelda, Last of Us.
We have The Last of Us too. Yeah.
Got it. That's badass.
And there's, I mean, over here, there's way more. I mean, we have Jujutsu Kaisen, we have Dr. Stone, and
dude, Dr. Stone was so good. I like that.
It's a lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. When did you start watching anime?
I mean, if we really count everything, it'd be since I was a kid. I mean, I must have been 5 years old, maybe for Naruto and Pokemon and all that stuff, and Dragon Ball. Early 2000s for sure.
Wait,
but
is Dragon Ball anime or is it cartoon? I'm not even sure.
It's anime.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Japanese in origin.
Oh, okay.
So it's you call it that mostly.
Got you. That makes sense.
But either way, I mean, when I really got into it, because that was more, oh, well, that's really cool. It's really fun to watch on TV or whatever. Yeah. But for my own personal interests, where I really got into it was around the time that Attack on Titan released its first season, which I think was in like 2013, 14, maybe. I don't know. 10 years ago, at least. So ever since then, it's been a roller coaster of all sorts.
What's your favorite Naruto moment?
That's really rough.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? There's a lot of good moments.
I'd probably say when he returns to the almost destroyed village, with his sage mode and the frogs.
Yeah.
With what's his name? I remember the name of the other character at the moment, but that I remember that moment like
when he was
perfectly
fighting Pain,
in my mind.
Dude, that was so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, that was
great one.
That was crazy. And
he looks like his dad as well when he appears.
Yeah.
Oh man, badass. Yeah, mine was Rock Lee. Rock Lee taking the weights off.
That moment is
I got
really
chills
awesome
on my arms, dude. I was just like, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really, really good moments. And I mean, that was also around the time, early YouTube days, where people would make AMVs and like music videos, and they would put Naruto and Dragon Ball and all this stuff over like Linkin Park and all these different bands, and they would line up specific scenes from the animes to the songs. I've watched the
maybe I'm
hell
too
out
much
of
of a
those.
geek. I still watch the AMVs all the time, man. I still have them.
I see some. I mean, I see like anime edits on TikTok now. That's
Yeah.
they pop up on my screen too.
I love Hero Academia ones. They're so good.
Yeah, they're good too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, so tell us one thing that would surprise your audience to know about you.
Surprise them to know. I mean, I don't even know.
You might not have anything. You might wear your, your heart on your sleeve, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, no, I talk about. I don't even know what that would be actually. I don't know. No, that's
No, it's okay.
I'd have to.
If you're dead honest and
think about
straightforward
that.
about everything, that's great. Like sometimes
I was
people
really
keep
thinking
something
like
back,
my real no, but like I talk about almost everything, so I don't really know what that would be. I don't know.
That's great. That's fine because like not everyone does keep it like anything back. Some people just share everything with their audience, which is great.
So I mean, yeah.
So what are
That's
some
fair.
of your like future goals then regarding like YouTube and Twitch and content creation? Do you have any goals for the future?
Well, I mean, recently, in preparation for the War Within, I've been really thinking about what I want to do with my content creation. And it's something that I've been, I guess, struggling with in all the years that I've done it. And it continuously comes to a point where I can't decide whether or not I only want to do fun things or I want to do the continuously good thing for the channel. Or the channels, right? The presence online.
Yeah.
And when I have the best content that I have been able to make in all this time is when I have the most fun. So I've just decided that whenever things are good, I will work myself to death if I have to. And then when things are not good, that's okay. I don't worry about it too much because I would put myself into like bad situations where I would just, I'll just make this video just because I have to, or I'm just gonna go live just to go live or whatever. I want specific reasons or have a goal in mind or have something in particular to do. Yeah. So I want to keep it as fun as humanly possible.
I really love that answer to that question. That's like one of the best answers I've ever heard. And I think the reason I particularly like it is it just shows how well-rounded as a content creator and as a professional in this industry you've become. You're now comfortable with your quality. You're comfortable with who you are, and you're saying, look, I could do this to get tons of views, or I could just do the things that's fun and keeps me who I am. And I think that's great. Like, because that's what your content's all about. You having fun in World of Warcraft,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so do you have anything in particular that you're really excited about working on for the future?
I'm excited for the professions in the War Within. As soon as I can figure out leveling guides and builds and all that, I'm there. I'm really excited. I am really excited for all that stuff. Oh, I can't wait. And it's, at this point, looking down at the time and date, we could be 2.5 3.5 months away from an expansion launch.
Yeah, it's coming. So, it's on the way. Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
me
really
too,
excited.
Dude. Me too. Well, Zanza, I appreciate you joining here, man. It's been really, really good to have you.
Yeah, it's fun.
I've absolutely loved this chat, getting to know you more. We've never had this opportunity to jump into a video call and just talk World of Warcraft. I had no idea how hard you play this game. You play this game like harder than anyone I've spoken to so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've I've gone over it a couple of times, but I have the last time I checked, over 4 years inside the game.
Damn, dude.
Since I started playing, which was at the end of 2007, so people can do the math and figure out how much that is per day. It's a lot.
It's a lot, dude.
It's a lot, but I mean, it's good. It's fun.
It's awesome. And I just want to say, I do watch lots of your videos, and I love your thumbnails. Your thumbnails are absolutely sick, dude. They are always really...
Dude, I try my best to like figure out whatever I can as much as possible, and now it's I really try and make something that I'm happy with for the thumbnails, even if it's something that might not do super well. If I think it looks good or if I like it, I'm like, I'm using that one.
Yeah, totally. So. I can see that. Yeah, well, thank you very much for being part of this podcast. It was awesome. I really hope you as the audience really enjoyed it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'm sure if I see any, I'll ask Zanza for his answer. We might hopefully get you back for a future episode again.
Sure.
It's been awesome, dude. Thank you very much for joining.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Erosium and Zanzarful out.
Bye.